Hello, welcome to Multicultural Books at Green River College. This course is going to illuminate a lot about why we need to make sure that our early childhood classrooms are reflective of all the children that are in the world. And we are making sure to introduce our students to all the different cultures that we can possibly introduce them to, so that they have a really wonderful wide view of what the world is instead of their own tiny little bubble that they live in. And our first lecture is going to discuss why. Why do we need to do that? So a researcher named Suzanne Evans in 2010 conducted research on critical literacy using a range of multicultural picture books, and her aim was to determine whether student perspectives on diversity and the acceptance of others altered once they were exposed to multicultural texts. She concluded that exposure to multicultural literature did increase students' awareness of the various social practices, values, and belief systems of other cultures. And that leads us to one of the main reasons that we want to encourage educators to flesh out their libraries. Multicultural literature increases and promotes empathy and unity. So if you see yourself in the books, like if you're a child who is from a culture that might not be the predominant culture, then they need to see themselves within the books on the shelves so that they don't feel so isolated and alone. It fosters their self-esteem and prevents them from feeling isolated. It also has the ability to nurture respect, empathy, and acceptance among all students. Whoever you are, which is an older publication that illustrates perfectly how multicultural literature can promote unity among different cultures. The story highlights the fact that all children feel the same emotions no matter where they live in the world, what language they speak, or how they look. It suggests that although people have many differences, there are common traits that unite us. Another text that focuses on commonalities is Mirror, written by Jeannie Baker in 2010. The design of this book is unique, as two storylines sit side by side and are to be read simultaneously. This picture book is about the day in the life of two boys, one who lives in Australia and the other in Morocco. And it reveals the differences and similarities that define their lives. It teaches children to not be afraid of other children who may seem different to them, because their lives and routines might be very much the same. Having a multicultural library also promotes cross-cultural friendships. It will promote the interaction of children across differing ethnic backgrounds. Stories portraying cultural diversity can foster the belief that race is not a barrier, but rather a contribution to the beauty of our multicultural world. It also helps students look critically at the world. Multicultural literature can help students develop global awareness by introducing them to current cultural issues. When students vicariously experience the feelings and emotions of others through literature, they are encouraged to look critically at the world and gain a greater understanding of the global community, which is what we want. We want our students to be able to think critically. We don't want them to just assume and then react without actually finding out what it is that is different or the same. Multicultural literature can also assist students with their identity formation. Identity formation is important in the social development of all children because it gives them a sense of belonging and acceptance in society. Inclusion of multicultural literature in library collections confirm that the beliefs and experiences of minority students are valued. When students see themselves reflected in the pages of literature, they are more likely to engage with the text. So Smith's case study in 1995 confirms this, revealing that African American students prefer to read texts that they can relate to culturally. increasing their interest in reading. So often in the past, students, people of color were not found in literature. They were being given books that were predominantly with characters of European ancestry and expected to read them and engage with them as if they were white. But that's just not how, that's not the way to get students to engage by just expecting it. You want to invite them in. We want them to feel a part of the cultural memory within literature. We don't want them to feel like they are just on the outskirts of it. So it's wonderful. We are so blessed in this day and age to have so many fantastic books through all the different age groups for children. We've got picture books that are wonderful. We've got young beginning readers that are wonderful. We've got great literature for young adults that are their characters are people of color. And so they don't have to search far and wide anymore. They're out there. And we've got many, many authors who are supplying us with more. So every year I add to my library because there's always another great book that I just have to put in there because I want the books to be accessible to all the children. And behind me, you can see these are just some of the books. I keep others that are more specific to genre within those genres that we're teaching. However, this is just always out, so the children have access to them at all times, and they can learn about different cultures. So let me get back to my lecture. So African American students prefer to read texts that they can relate to culturally, which increases their interest in reading. Familiar concepts in multicultural literature will help to build security, familiarity, and confidence, which can lead to an improvement in student learning. That seems like such a no-brainer, doesn't it? What is the role of the teacher? So as a teacher, you are your own classroom's librarian, are you not? So for instance, I work in a private school, which we don't have a library or a librarian. We have our libraries within our classrooms. And I will, during the course of this quarter, I will show you my library. This is not it. This is just a portion of it. I've got a whole other library over there. And I've been collecting books for 30 years. And most teachers, that's what they do too. They collect books, and they see books in their excursions into literature, or they see them in a fellow teacher's classroom, or they talk about books with their fellow teachers, and people will say, "Oh my gosh, if you're reading this, then you should read this." And so we're always being exposed to wonderful literature. And as you slowly accumulate these books, you will build your classroom library. Write your name in them. And someday when you retire, you can gift them to another teacher, which has been done to me as well. I've had teachers retire, friend teachers of mine, and they gift me books, which is such a blessing. So start building your library now. You guys are brand new baby teachers, and you need to start building what will become your future grandiose library. And keep in mind that we want to make sure that we are serving the entire population of our students. And I also want to make sure that everyone knows that it's not just the children of color that need these variations, this plurality within the library. It's white kids too. White kids need to be exposed to all the beautiful, wonderful cultures that are out there so that they don't grow up in their bubble. We don't want our little white children to be thinking that their culture is dominant by only seeing themselves everywhere. We want them to know that there are many, many, many cultures in the world that are fantastic and wonderful and lovely. This is what we want. So back to, what is your role as the teacher librarian? So there are important characteristics that teacher librarians should consider when selecting multicultural literature to be included in their school library. First, cultural context should be accurately depicted in the books by the presentation of correct and current information. Let's see, I hope it's here. Yeah, here it is. I keep this one book because it is something that is a non-example. So when you hear me say, make sure that the book is portraying current information as well. If you're not just doing historical studies, don't have things like this. So this is a non-example, and it is only portraying Native Americans as, you know, wearing almost nothing, wearing headdresses and riding horses and shooting bows and arrows. This is a stereotypical book that we do not want to have to portray Native Americans. I keep it to show you what not to do. I've got a few others too, and I'll be showing those as well. So, you know, you want to make sure that Native Americans, as an example, are portrayed as, guess what? They're not a thing of the past. They live right here. They wear normal clothes. They drive cars. They cook food. They go to McDonald's. They're just like we are. You, literally this year, I actually had a few of my students actually be very perplexed when I told them that one of our teachers is a Native American, and they thought that Native Americans were a thing of the past. And that was something that I had to shake my head and go, oh, okay. I had no idea that this was even a thought. So let's go back and let's talk about, you know, just like we all have ancestors. Yes, Native Americans have ancestors, but they are alive and well, just like all other cultures. So this is why we don't want to just have things like this on the shelf. We want to make sure. And of course, I immediately brought out some books that said, hey, let's look at Native Americans in modern day. And we quickly overcame that presupposition. So we want to make sure that we are avoiding stories that reinforce stereotypes. And if there's dialogue in the book, it should be considered. And it should be accurately represented for their culture, specifically oral traditions. So we want to make sure that we are being accurate when it's an oral tradition. We don't want to retell a story in our own way if it's something that is a tradition within a culture. We want to be respectful. Teacher librarians should also consider the power play within texts to ensure subservient roles between cultural groups are not illustrated. So an example of that would be if you are reading a story and the white people are doctors and the brown people are maids. We don't need to be portraying the minority culture in a subservient role. We want to show them in all roles, including positions of power. It is important to ensure that multicultural literature is not isolated, but incorporated in library activities and throughout the library program. So what that means is, one of my professors a long time ago called it tacos and dragons. Don't just bring out the tacos on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and then the dragons on Chinese New Year. Your library should be available to the children throughout the year. These books should be accessible all the time, not just during Black History Month. We need to have these out for the children 100% of the time so that they are able to read all the different stories about all the different cultures and not have it just be isolated for holidays. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. An effective teacher will be providing professional development opportunities for other teaching staff. So that means, we are not librarians necessarily. However, if you have a great library, then you're also helping to educate your fellow teachers. You're helping them to see how to make sure that children are exposed to the right things. So you can work together to organize units that include culturally diverse literature. So in conclusion, creating a culturally diverse library collection and instilling its use throughout the school will help to build a school community that is supportive, empathetic, and accepting of others. Multicultural literature creates a sense of belonging, forging a connection between home and school environments and across cultures. Multicultural literature serves many purposes, but its greatest accomplishment is its ability to bring people closer together, regardless of culture and ethnicity. So, in conclusion, again, I would just say, make sure that you are thinking conscientiously about what books you choose, and we'll be learning all about that this quarter, and we all have some really great ideas for you and some wonderful examples of picture books that you can incorporate into your library for not very much money. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to getting to know you all, and I will see you, well, right now I'm going to see you in about 8 minutes. All right, I will see you soon.